everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts on this Friday, exclusively here on Fox Local, as well as our Fox 6 YouTube page. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, on a chilly day today.
Very chilly.
Like the last couple. We haven't come above freezing in 5 days.
Which is bizarre. That's well below average for
Right.
our December temperatures.
Very much below. This is more like a January kind of stretch here.
Yeah.
And we might go another like 4 or 5 days before we come out from under. So
Yeah.
we'll get into that in just a little bit with our regional outlook. Stephanie will take you across the area and dig a little deeper into that. But let's go into the past. We're going to start our show today by going back to the 50s. Today in 1953, a deadly F5 tornado struck Vicksburg, Mississippi, killing 38 people, injuring hundreds, and causing significant damage. It was part of a tornado outbreak that also impacted northeastern Louisiana and southeastern Arkansas. Look at this historical archive video from the Fox Movietone News Archives.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's interesting. I've had people ask me, are tornadoes, are they less dangerous now, because you see some of this historical video and you look at some of the historical records and the higher death tolls are obvious, but that has more to do with our ability to forecast and communicate them better now versus in 1953.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
There's no way to know for sure if the death toll would go down in any given tornado, but as a trend, we have been able to give people a lot more heads up, and we also know a lot more about how to stay safe in tornadoes. Get a little bit farther into the future for our next little visit here.
Yeah, still in the past, but this time in the 80s. On this day back in 1981, a huge snowstorm dropped 18 inches of snow in Boston, Massachusetts. This was an interesting one. So the storm brought blizzard conditions, high winds, and heavy snow, with other parts of New England, especially Rhode Island, picking up 2 feet of snowfall accumulation. Massachusetts as well as Rhode Island were hit the hardest with this specific storm. At one given time, there were over 100,000 without power. Sadly, 6 lives were lost in that storm, mostly from car accidents. It was also, this was the interesting part, a stronger storm than expected. A lot more accumulation out of that. Probably, as we know, some of those heavier bands probably set up, but really fascinating to see, because they had this area also a huge snowstorm in 1978. So they were, when I was doing some digging, this was the biggest storm since, 1978. So it's interesting that it not too far apart.
And that video, again, seemed fascinating. At first I was like, is this in black and white for some reason? Because they had color TV in 81.
It's a Wonderful Life? Is that what we're looking at right now?
I watched cartoons in color. But if you look, there is obviously color in there, but with all this snow, it mostly looks like black and white. And again, you kind of brought up a good point there. It was more intense than expected. 1981 to me does not seem like that long ago, but the technology for forecasting any kind of storms, particularly winter storms, has come leaps and bounds from what was available to forecasters in 1981.
Yeah, which is great news.
Right. I mean, we're talking pre-internet. They had the fax models back in the day. They had to go, pencil crayons and colored markers and things like that to mark up the systems maps. So some interesting deep dives there into history. So now let's bring you back a little closer to the present. Just go back maybe 24 hours to a Texas Panhandle storm, looking like a wonderland, winter wonderland down there.
It's beautiful.
Wow, look at this. This is northern Texas. Yeah, and they do get snow there, just not maybe all the time, and certainly not at these levels every day. This is drone footage from Storm Sacher Chad Casey near Turkey, Texas. That's in between Lubbock and Amarillo. You can see the snow blanketing the area. Casey also showing us a ruler in the snow here at one point, and getting about 3 inches worth of snow.
Wow.
National Weather Service in Lubbock issued a warning to residents to, quote, dress for the cold.
Wow, it's beautiful. I wonder how long it will last.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
A lot of it will probably melt.
Yeah, I'm sure it is already melting, because even though they've been kind of chilly in Texas, they've been above freezing. I mean, I think Dallas forecast high yesterday was only like 40 or something like that, which for them obviously is quite chilly. And it just shows how far south this cold air mass has pushed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now out west. So a series of atmospheric rivers, we talk about those a lot in California, next week will lead to widespread a widespread threat of flooding in western Washington. So the region's many rivers, creeks, and streams will be running high next week with rounds of heavy rain during the work week. Streak flooding is also a real possibility, particularly where storm drains are clogged with leaves. Now, some communities like Thurston County will be offering free sandbagging stations to help people prepare. Now, the sandbags won't stop the flooding, but they are useful when protecting property.
Yeah, redirect that water.
Good precaution
for sure.
to take.
We talked about king tides yesterday. King tides are also expected in Washington, western Washington this weekend. Look at the power right there. This is video of king tides from November of last year during a storm. According to the Washington Emergency Management Division, some areas could experience tides of up to 16 feet, which is about a foot above the normal high tide. In Seattle, the Sea Grant, Washington is expecting about 12 to 13 foot tides. Those tides could start happening as soon as today. Officials are asking anyone there who visits those areas to exercise some extra caution this weekend. Those waves were powerful.
Incredible video.
Yeah, impressive. We're just hearing a lot more about these king tides lately as well, which is kind of fascinating and linked obviously to the full moon as well. Now, we had a beautiful full moon. It's a little bit past its full at the moment. And now we've got some interesting turns coming up weather-wise as well.
Yeah, we do. We're going to become a bit more active in the Milwaukee area and across the state of Wisconsin. We have one system kind of working its way on through right now, and a couple more across the U.S. You can, see out towards the northwest, that next storm system that's bringing all the issues we just talked about. One again in the Great Lakes region, bringing some very light snow. This is a light or a weak system, I should say, to southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, over into parts of Wisconsin. Still some activity also along the east coast. And those of us in the upper plains as well as the Great Lakes region, we're also looking at another chance for snow, kind of a 1-2 punch between today and Sunday. So there will be more spots across the Midwest dealing with snow basically today, tomorrow, and Sunday. But here's that system coming in across the Pacific Northwest right now, mainly rain showers and high wind across western parts of those states, Washington as well as Oregon, and starting to change over to more of that snow as you get to eastern portions of those states. Wind headlines in place. That's a big part of that incoming storm system, is some of that high wind, likely some of that coastal flooding because of some of those higher tides, high waves, and just the surge that's going to work its way on through because of the power of that storm. Now, as you get a little more to the east, you can see a lot of spots, primarily higher elevations here, under winter weather headlines. So the heavy snow, the high accumulation still expected here in the next couple of days out east. And then getting closer to those of us in Wisconsin, though not including us, you can see a chunk of South Dakota, southern Minnesota, as well as northern and central Iowa under winter weather advisories, as well as a winter storm watch right now in blue here across Iowa. So this is particularly for Saturday. So for that next storm system after what they're seeing today, everybody in that winter weather advisory could pick up about 2 to 5 inches worth of snowfall, and in that winter storm watch, maybe 4 to about 7 inches. So you can tell that there are some spots that will have the potential for some heavier snow with that second system tomorrow. And then to the East Coast, there is still a threat throughout the day tonight, or throughout tonight and on into tomorrow, of a little bit more in the way of snowfall accumulation. Not as much as what areas west will see, but also the chance for some freezing rain. So there are some spots still under another winter weather advisory. You can see the rain up and down the East Coast. Not too much in the way of mixing just yet. That'll more so be the threat for later on tonight. And then bringing you back closer to home, just some of these spotty light snow showers towards the north as well as out towards the west. So Green Bay over to La Crosse and primarily central portions of our state dealing with flurries and light snow showers right now. What's in Minnesota and Iowa will continue to move eastward. So southern Wisconsin later today will gradually start to see some of that. Not really expecting it to accumulate today. It's more so Sunday that brings us the better chance. But from here on out, especially in northern central Wisconsin, some of that snow will continue. Those of us towards the south late afternoon, early evening will get in on just a few of these scattered snow showers. They may end up being as light as flurries, but also there could be just a brief period of time where we end up seeing just a little bit of freezing drizzle too. I don't think it'll be a widespread issue. But we don't have a lot of moisture with this storm system. We're still going to be pretty dry. So it's possible that we just get the ice crystal as it makes its way down from the sky. So there is that slight chance. primarily in southern Wisconsin. So we'll watch it pretty closely. But again, I don't expect it to be a widespread issue. Saturday's dry, and then we see this next batch of snow late Saturday night on into Sunday. It does look like it'll end maybe by your mid-morning hours, so it's in and out very quickly, but it could potentially bring in a little bit of accumulation. Now, we're not expecting much with what we have moving through right now, but notice as we get into Sunday morning, maybe an inch or two across our area, lesser amounts towards the north. It's really going to be, I think, southern Minnesota and that portion of Iowa that could see some of those, maybe 4 to 6 inch totals where that, especially winter storm watch is in effect. Quickly talking about temperatures, because today is technically a little warmer across a good chunk of the upper plains right now compared to the chill we had yesterday. That being said, it's all relative. High temperatures will stay in the 20s today. Warmer out towards the west, and I'd like to say we're going to tap into that over the weekend, but we're going to stay in the 20s here locally. We have the better chance to see some 30s by next week, maybe Tuesday and Wednesday, and that's still a little below average, but at least no big chill like yesterday. Will hold pretty steady here in the 20s, heading on into the weekend and into the next couple of days. Now, wind chills will still be on the chillier side today, tomorrow because of the wind, but again, it's at least going to be in the 20s and not the teens like yesterday. And if
Baby
there's
steps,
any
baby
consolation
steps.
prize there.
Yeah, no doubt. We've got a crazy story out of San Diego right now. Lifeguards there actually recounting a rescue of a Labrador retriever that was swept out to sea last month. So the black lab mix named Sadie had gotten out of the house. Her owners were staying at the house that their homeowners were staying at, and then made her way out to the ocean. And then she got kind of sucked up in a rip current. We talk about these a lot. We get rip currents on Lake Michigan. It shows how powerful they can be because labs are amazing swimmers. But she got stuck in one and swept out farther into the open waters. Sadie's owners tracked her along the coast using an air tag on her collar, which is fortunate that they had that. But it was actually surfers who were able to spot her in the water, struggling. Rescue crews then spent over an hour trying to locate Sadie. The crew issued a final call on Sadie's rescue. When they finally spotted her, Sadie was returned safely to her family shortly thereafter. Probably a very happy puppy.
Probably a very anxious homeowner or dog owners too.
Right.
So glad everything worked out. Absolutely. Well, this is an interesting one. Okay, if you have friends or family in California, they got a rude wake-up call this morning. It was an earthquake alert, but for a quake that didn't actually happen. The USGS says the alert for a sizable earthquake was mistakenly sent today. What was alerted as an earthquake in Nevada turned out to be a false alarm. So thankful for that, but still not fun. The alert incorrectly said a 5.9 earthquake had happened in Dayton, Nevada, east of Carson City. The Shake Alert warning system is operated by the USGS, and seismologists say they are trying to figure out what triggered the system.
The Shake Alert system is fully automated. It's listening to data all the time, and there was some anomalies in the data from Nevada that caused the system to interpret it as an earthquake.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Well, the USGS quickly posted a correction. The system requires data from a minimum of 4 sensors placed at intervals of about 20 kilometers in order to trigger an alert. Scientists are now reviewing the data and the algorithms to determine if the mistake was from the software, failing to filter out a false trigger that can sometimes occur.
Fascinating.
That's tricky.
Yeah, because obviously you don't want too many false reports because people start trusting the report. But you also can't slow down the system by having too many layers of double checks because, the quicker you alert somebody, the more lives you can save.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Don't envy the job of the USGS on that one. You don't want to envy our job either because we've got a lot of stuff to do today. All right, now it's a pretty easy gig. But we've got to talk about Christmas trees since we promised this yesterday, ran out of time. I promise it right after the break.
back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts.
That's right. Appreciate you joining us. Now, yesterday we talked about the Christmas tree
Yes.
and the history thereof, so we definitely do not want to leave you hanging on this one. Let's take a look, actually, the Capitol Christmas tree, right? Mm-hmm. That's right. Governor Evers celebrated the annual holiday tree lighting at the state capitol yesterday, and the theme this year was the Learning Tree. Governor Evers invited students to do handmade ornaments, celebrating and thanking educators, child care providers, administrators, mentors, and others, everybody involved in our school system, right down to the lunch ladies and lunchmen, because, of course, everybody has a part in our young brains out there, right? The heroes out there, of course, that save the lives and that support them. The Capitol Holiday Tree is in the Rotunda, and people can view that tree throughout the end of the year.
We're trying to get that live yesterday.
Yep. We got some carolers. That was fun. We didn't quite time it out for the live lighting.
But nice to see the finished product. It looks beautiful. All right, well, this was the one we were talking about yesterday. So lots of fun tree lightings this time of year, as we all know. But did you ever wonder about how it all started? Our friends at Fox Chicago talked to George Richardson at Richardson Adventure Farm to find out.
It began with pagan rituals of bringing evergreen boughs into your home in the wintertime to remind you that spring will come, that there is life everlasting even in the cold, bitter winters. You get fresh evergreen boughs in there and they stay green all winter long. That's kind of the start of the Christmas tree tradition. Our farm has been here since 1836, and this land we're standing on is part of the original homestead by my great-great-grandfather and his brother. Farming has changed a lot over the years. It was a dairy farm when I was a kid growing up. Brother and I each decided separately we wanted to come back to the farm, raise our families here. And my parents said, well, boys, what's next? And we're like, well, I don't know, what do you mean, what's next? But they knew that nothing ever stays the same. Particularly in farming, you need to change with the times. We had some areas of this field that was pasture for the dairy cows. We weren't utilizing that ground. And we searched for vegetable crops and strawberries and apple orchards. We decided we're going to plant some Christmas tree seedlings. So they're about 14 to 20 inches when we buy them. We planted 1,000 trees every year as kind of a nice little side hobby for raising pigs, corn and soybeans. When we sold our first trees in 1987, we just put a sign up on the road, said we got trees for sale, and we sold like 186 trees or something. And we really got to looking forward to these happy people coming to our farm. We enjoyed talking with people. They're more fun to talk with than pigs all day long. Then we kept expanding. Then we planted 2,000 trees a year, then 3,000 trees a year. As business kept growing, we must have done something right because we sold more and more trees. People liked what they were seeing, and we were having a ball with it. Any type of evergreen tree can be a Christmas tree. There are different varieties that grow in different parts of the country. White pines are native through all of this part of Illinois and Wisconsin. They grow fantastic. They're fabulous trees. We bring up the Canaan firs, Fraser firs. Native seed source is North Carolina, Virginia, so it's quite a bit different here. When we buy the seedlings, they're about 14 to 20 inches tall, and they grow about a foot a year. So in 7 years, we'll have trees that are about an average of 7 feet. These trees behind me are in their 9th year, I think, and there's mostly, well, I mean, there's a 5-footer right next to me, so they're all different, just like people, I guess. What makes a good Christmas tree is how you trim it or shear it, shape it over the years. Almost every year, every tree needs to have a little bit of a haircut to keep it into that nice shape. And when you clip the tips of the fresh branches, it'll add more buds and fill out and make that nice shape. All of my trees are really, really good. So, and it's very fun. We're out in the fields and people are walking all around, and there's hats and gloves on the top, and then you hear your kids going, "Dad, come over here," you know, and they're searching for the perfect one. On our farm, I'd say about 80% of the people take the wagon rides. We have free wagon rides running all through the farms. It's just fun to just kind of get out and see the open spaces, walk around with the kids and the dogs and everything. Then you get the warm barn where you can go inside, hot chocolate, hot cider, beer, wine, gelato, all the gifts and the fresh wreaths that we make. We buy a wreath ring, which has clamps all the way around the rings. There's an art form to making the wreaths. A lot of times we buy in greens because we don't produce enough extra greens. Sometimes we'll cut down a tree that's not quite perfect. The lawnmower ran into a branch, and we'll cut that up and make our wreaths out of that. You just kind of lay out those very carefully around the circle so it's nice and even, and get a beautiful wreath. Then we got the bow makers that make the bows, and then the decorators that put all the different decorations on. There's nothing that beats the aroma of a fresh evergreen tree in your house. I'd like to point out to people that Christmas trees are a crop, and they are grown specifically for this purpose. So once in a while I hear like, oh, it's a shame to cut down this tree, it's so beautiful. But I've grown them for this purpose. They need to be cut. So it's like corn and soybeans that grow all season long, and then we harvest them. Real trees are best for the environment. They're a home for wildlife all the years that they're growing. They're absorbing carbon dioxide, producing oxygen, and it's a 100% renewable, sustainable resource. 100% recycled after you've used it at Christmas time, goes right back into the earth. And us farmers, when we harvest a tree, we're going to plant new ones, so we always have Christmas trees growing.
Fascinating.
There you have it. I
Yeah.
liked the wreath making.
Yeah, I didn't
that
the
contraption.
picture. Yeah, that was really cool. Big thanks to our friends down at Fox Chicago for sending us that. We'll continue with our updates here, and of course the Wisconsin weather experts on Fox Local. There's a live look at Mitchell International. Somewhere inside, someone is getting recombobulated right now. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts right here on Fox Local, as well as our FOX6 YouTube page.
Well, we appreciate you watching our show every day here on Fox Local. Between you and I, you make us one of our top 6 watched shows on the platform, so we appreciate that. Which also probably means you're a little into the weather as much as we are, a little weather nerdy, like we like to say. And if you want to go a little deeper, there's a brand new episode of our regional weather podcast. It just dropped on Wednesday. It's called The ISO Bar. You can watch it anytime you want on Fox Local and YouTube. Here's a little taste. But getting back to what Rich was pointing out with the lake, it's fascinating how the Great Lakes impact winter storms. We were joking around today on the air that, when someone asked the question, does the Lake Michigan give us more snow or less snow? The answer is yes, because it can give us a foot or more of snow, like the lake effect event we had, but it also undercut some of our totals in this recent system because in certain areas, it added a little warmth and moisture and brought those snow ratios down. So we ended up with lower amounts right by the lake and bigger amounts just a couple of miles farther in. So Rich, yeah, the lake that we live by here, Michigan, the lakes that you live by on the other side of Michigan, just a huge part of winter forecasting.
And for people who, move to the Great Lakes, or for meteorologists who have never, worked in and around the Great Lakes, it does take some getting used to. There's a lot of nuances, obviously, to, the Denver area. There's a lot of nuances to New England, but our Great Lakes bring a lot of meteorological nuances, and both of you know that all too well.
Yeah, that's kind of how we get paid, right?
It is how we get paid.
Agreed.
Check it out on YouTube or Fox Local.
There you go. That's a really awesome show, and
It's
I
fun.
hope you check it out. It is. It's great. Well, thank you for being with us this week, this Friday. We have plenty more next week. Remember, we're Monday through Friday at 12 right here on Fox Local. Have a great weekend, everybody.
See you Monday.